midnight, under the full moon, they danced naked, worshiped the devil, and drank blood. We call them witches. We can't see them, but we can hear them. Shh. Can you hear them? Yelling, screaming for more. They're poisoning us with their magical words. Those words raise up our darkest feelings. Shh. Can you feel them? Yelling, screaming for more. They're poisoning us with their magical words. Those words raise up our darkest feelings. Shh. Can you feel? Can you feel? Witches.
Okay, so this is all my awesome virtual reality lucid dreams I had lately in December, and they were a lot of fun. Okay, so let's see, a few days ago, around December 27th, okay, I'm trying to think what would trigger this. Well, I know one of the things that was in my lucid dream, one of the things that was in the lucid dream, I know that night before I went to bed, I was staring at the mat in there, which is really like a bathtub mat, but I thought it was gonna get... Oh, see, I thought I was smelling something moldy, and I thought it was that mat, but it wasn't the mat. It was a shower curtain. So I took it out and put it in the laundry room. But it's really like a shower mat. But anyway, this is kind of funny. But I can't remember what would have triggered the aliens. The aliens put me on college campuses a lot, where I'm walking around. Well, I just had one recently, remember, a few months ago, where I was on a college campus. But they do put me on... well, like, I don't know what. I guess what would trigger this college campus scenario was not too long ago, this friend was telling me about his dream about which really wasn't a dream. It would have been more like a virtual reality lucid dream or whatever. You know, talking about him, you know, walking around a college campus and not ever finishing his law school test or whatever. But anyway, for whatever reason, the aliens on December 27th, And specifically, see, this is what's weird. I didn't have glass hall on the brain at all. I haven't had glass hall on the brain for a long time. Over 20 years ago, that's when I went there, and that was the newest building at the time on campus. And so that's what it looks like right there. But yeah, so like I say, the aliens, they put me on college campuses a lot, over and over again. And so this lucid dream, virtual reality lucid dream, out of body experience, because like I say, I'm still out of body. It's not like the shitty dreams. A dream is like this. A shitty dream, and most dreams would be like this. Like you're just not part of it. You're just like no telling where you're at. You're just sitting there in some dark abyss or whatever, just like looking at all these shitty ass haphazard images and shit. That's a dream. Okay, so anyway, I never talk about my dreams. Like, why would I? They're shitty. But I never have shitty dreams. And even if I do, I don't talk about them. I only talk about my virtual reality experiences. Okay, so anyway, so for whatever reason, the aliens took me to the college campus, the one that I graduated from in real life. So I was walking around the college campus, a college campus, but not the one that I graduated from. Okay, this is what was kind of weird. But so I was on a college. Oh yeah, and how could I forget all this? Oh my God. Oh yeah, this lucid dream, by the way, was very long. Okay, so oh my God, how could I forget about all this? It just came to me, all these the memory. Otherwise, I would have forgot all that. But okay, so this lucid dream, I was on a different college campus, but it still had a glass hall on it. And the friend that I was walking around with, I can't even remember who they were, but it was like a Mel. And then eventually I met up with like Ellen DeGeneres and her friend were in the scenario. Okay, but like, and I know why the aliens put her in there, because I just recently watched that Netflix, I don't think I finished the whole thing. I think I have a few more minutes to watch that Netflix comedy. So it's kind of funny they put her in it. That's why they put her in it or whatever. Or like I say, this could have been my artificially intelligent implant. You know, the aliens could, maybe it just created it on its own, or the aliens programmed it or whatever. But okay, so this glass hall, I was walking around, and the college campus, but I was in another town, another city, but the aliens did not tell me what town I was in, but I was in a strange town. Okay, so I was walking around forever and ever with this guy, with like a classmate that I knew, and at one point we were walking outside of Glass Hall, walking around in between all the buildings, and I was looking ahead at all of the other halls. I mean, like this hall and that hall and this hall, and they were all very intricate, very clear, and even into the scenario, I was like, oh, okay, that's such and such hall, and this is such and such hall, because, you know, when I used to walk around a college campus, there was many other halls, and but I can't remember the other names of the halls off, or you know, at the moment. But in the scenario, we were walking around the college campus, and in between all of the outside, all of the buildings and stuff for a long time, and at one point we were standing there, me and my classmate, and he's like, well, our college, you know, Glass Hall, we used to teach, and by the way, Glass Hall in this scenario was abandoned because it had a mold problem. Okay, so in the scenario, I was standing there, and he says, well, our Glass Hall, you know, we used to teach, or they used to teach like geology or geography or something like that. And I said, oh, well, not the one I went to. The one I went to, Glass Hall, it taught math, because I took, like math and algebra or whatever. Because I took college algebra in my Glass Hall. But yeah, it's funny. I don't know why the aliens picked Glass Hall, but they did. And so anyway, we had that conversation, and then eventually, okay, twice we like went into Glass Hall and went back out and then went back in, and I was like, this place is this glass hall, you know, is abandoned. Like, why would they leave all the doors open? But for whatever reason, they left them unlocked. So we went inside, and we walked around forever and ever and ever and ever. And just looking at this, looking at that, most everything was just empty and abandoned. And we even, I went up many stairs, and in Glass Hall, I did walk up many stairs several times when I went there to the college. And anyway, so here's the funny part. In Glass Hall, when we walked in either the first or the second time, and like I say, it was abandoned because of a mold problem, because they couldn't get rid of the mold or whatever. Well, I know why the aliens put that in there, because I did have mold and stuff, you know, on the brain, because my sister's boyfriend's dad's house, he hasn't lived in it in a long time, and he's elderly, and it has a mold problem, and it needs to be taken down or whatever. But anyway, so the aliens put that in there. But the funny thing was, like, over to the left, when we walked in Glass Hall, and like I say, we walked in and out of Glass Hall at least 2 to 3 times, walking around forever and ever and ever and ever, and observing. And so over to my left, and for whatever reason, what was in my brain under the scenario was plumes of mold. But this mold was like light green. It was very light green mold. And it was, you know, it was like big piles. I don't know. It was like really weird. Big piles of like, the size of like 2 to 3 basketballs put together. Big piles like on the floor. It was really weird. But in the scenario, you know, it just looked normal to me in the scenario. But then, of course, after you wake up and everything, you're thinking mold wouldn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? But the reason why the alien put that in there was because they tried to copy off of that bath mat. Okay, so, okay, here we go. Yeah, for whatever reason, they copied off this bath mat right here. See how it's really light green? And see the little volleyballs or whatever, the little humps? The little humps? Yeah, so in the scenario, the aliens tried to make the mold look like that. Okay, oh my god, and like I say, all this other pieces, I think I was about to forget to tell until they just all came back to me, like bam, bam, bam. Okay, so anyway, the other part of the scenario was all of a sudden we went into the building that had the big, huge swimming pool. And I mean, this pool was freaking big. And I even got into the pool and swam and everything. I mean, just swam into the pool. My friend at the time, I think he didn't swim with me, but he was at the, you know, sidelines or whatever. He was standing around somewhere. But anyway, so there was a, you know, big, huge swimming pool in one of the halls that we went in, and I started swimming. And one part of the scenario when I was swimming, and I swam for quite a long time. And one of the things was when I was swimming was I was trying to swim, you know, underwater, and there was like a Mexican man and like 2 of his kids. They were like swimming on top of the water, and I was trying. This isn't the first time they've done this. I was trying to like you know, like they were blocking me from me getting up out of the water. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of like they were on top of the water, and I was trying to get away from them so I could come back up and get some air. You know what I'm saying? So that was one part of the scenario where I was kind of like drowning, so to speak. But that's not the first time the aliens have done that. Okay, so anyway, see, the other part of the scenario, I got out of the pool, and like I said, this pool was freaking huge. Very clear and detailed, very huge. And, but anyway, the mold thing was the funny part, the mold thing. Because like I say, in the scenario, though, it just seems normal. It just looked like normal. You know, you just think, oh, okay, mold, it's just normal and everything. But then when you wake up, you're thinking, that didn't look normal, you know what I'm saying? But, okay, so But anyway, the aliens made me think plumes for whatever reason. They made me think the word plume, like plumes and like I say, the mold was light green, just like that bath mat. Okay, so anyway, they didn't make me smell mold or anything. They could have if they wanted to. Okay, so after that part, after I went swimming and almost drowned or whatever, okay, I went back into another small building off of the swimming pool hall. And Ellen DeGeneres was sitting there with one of her friends having a conversation, and they were kind of like arguing, so to speak. And as far as I remember, I did not talk to them. I was just overhearing them. Okay. So anyway, so that was that. Okay, so then there was this other awesome lucid dream that I had around, okay, now to Glass Hall. That was around December 27th. That was pretty recent. But like I said, I almost forgot about the Ellen DeGeneres and about the big swimming pool and shit. And there may be a couple other... I know there were some other buildings that I kind of walked through, me and my friend. But like I said, I can't remember if they were called anything or not. But I did walk through a couple other buildings as well. But yeah, it was just a very awesome scenario. And that was around December 27th. And then another awesome virtual reality lucid dream, out-of-body experience I had was to my step-granny Leela's house. Her name was Leela, and she died over 20... Well, she died about 20 years ago. My step-grandma, and her name was Leela, but we called her Granny. And this experience was December 2nd, and it was like as if her kids, her older adult kids, didn't care to... It's like in the scenario, she already died, and the kids didn't care to go... take all the crap out of her house and clean up her house and stuff after she died. So I went in there moseying around by myself. I was by myself. Now, under the scenario, this house didn't look identical to where she really used to live in real life. And it felt like I was in a totally different town. I don't know what town I was in, but I felt like I was in a totally different town. And, not like the town that I'm in now. But, so in the scenario, okay, the house was kind of similar, but not 100%. Like the kitchen was, the living room is over to the right, the bedroom straight ahead, except the kitchen was over to the left. And in real life, the kitchen was in the back, like, kind of like in the back of the living room, and then straight ahead were the bedrooms. But anyway, so basically I was walking around my step-granny's house, walking around forever and ever and ever in the kitchen. I mean, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I was observing, like, she had left out, she obviously was like a master pastry person. And in real life, she did cook a lot of rolls, which I loved. And she cooked a whole lot of chicken, what do you call that? Chicken and dumplings. But in the scenario, oh my God, she had like pies sitting around. And pies, which of course were getting kind of old because they had been sitting there. And in the scenario, it seemed like she had died, several months previous. So it wasn't like she died recently. Under the scenario, it was like she had been dead a while. You know what I'm saying? So when I went into her house, all of that cake, all of those pies were sitting on the counter for a long, long, long time. And, but it wasn't just pies, it was those, now I can't think of the word. What are those little not croissants, croissants? Oh shit, I can't think of the word. Turnovers! Yeah! She had these like turnovers, and oh my God, they looked like so awesome. But I was afraid. I did eat some of them, but I was kind of afraid to because I was like, crap, I may get sick, They were like apple turnovers that she had made. And like I say, I did eat some of them, but I was afraid to eat some of them because I was thinking, they may make me sick. So I did eat some apple turnovers, and like I say, there's all these pies sitting around. And then over to my left was the refrigerator, and this part is kind of funny. So I went over to the refrigerator, and there was this huge pot that looked like it was like medieval from 800 years ago or 8,000 years ago or whatever. It looked similar to that, except it was much more medieval looking. It was like huge. It was like 2.5 feet long, about a foot and a half wide, but it was round like that, and it was silverish, and it was just very, very medieval looking. It was silverish, like very, very old and medieval looking, but it looked similar to that, except much more medieval looking. And what she had in it, I knew there was like some kind of like chicken stew. I knew it was some kind of big old hunk of chicken, either chicken or beef. I think it was chicken, and some kind of stew. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I should eat that, because I knew it had been in there a long, 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 long time. Okay, so anyway, like I say, some of these lucid dreams, I mean, like I'm literally walking around what would seem like 3 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, of course, when really I'm probably just walking around, for 30 minutes. But yeah, some of these lucid dreams, that's what's characteristic of my lucid dreams. They seem like I'm walking around the scenario for hours and hours and hours. Okay, so that was to my step granny Leela's house. And then the other one to my aunt and uncle's vacant house. And that was my Aunt Elaine and Uncle John, where, the aliens, they always stick me in their mansion, which they don't even have a mansion. I mean, they own a lot of property and condos and shit like that. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, the aliens, for some reason, always stuck me in their mansions, their make-believe mansions or whatever, under my scenarios. I've talked about that many, many times before. Okay, and that experience was around, did I put the date? Oh, I don't know. Well, that was about, 2-3 weeks ago. And anyway, but what was cool about this scenario, okay, what the aliens did was they put me in the scenario. They actually did take me to their authentic house that they lived in since 1950 or whatever. And as you can see, it's not a mansion, but it is huge. Well, compared to my house. This is it right here. Of course, this is in a part of Texas that's not very expensive, Pantego, Texas. So this house is just like a $350,000 house. But this is where the aliens stuck me. They stuck me in the back of their house. So I was standing there with a man about my age. What the? Oh, they have a little owl right there? Okay. Well, anyway, they stuck me right here with the little, with the man and then the agent, a female real estate agent. A female real estate agent. And at first, when I looked at the pool, it still had all of the brick around it when I first looked at the pool. And then so we stood there and proceeded to stand there. And we were talking and stuff. See, this is what their house looks like. Right here. See, it's a pretty nice house. It has upstairs and everything. Okay, so anyway, but in the scenario, the aliens stuck me right back here. And so the first time, like I said, when I looked at the pool, it had all the bricks and stuff around it. And then a few minutes went on, and I was walking around, and I looked back at the pool, and it was all gutted. Like, all there was dirt. I mean, there wasn't any brick or anything. It was all dirt. And I was just thinking, oh, okay, I guess whoever's going to eventually buy it, I guess they want to just build their own pool or whatever. But anyway, under the scenario, the house was, for sale. The house now, somebody finally bought it, and it was for sale, So under the scenario, it was like John and Elaine had already moved out of the house, which they have in real life. They've already moved out of the house and everything. And so anyway, under the scenario, so that was just kind of funny because one part of the scenario, I still saw the brick, but it still didn't have any water in the pool. And then the second time around, I started walking around the pool, and all of a sudden, it was all gutted. All it was just dirt. just a big empty where a pool used to be, but it was just dirt. There wasn't any concrete or anything, but there was still where you could tell where a pool used to be. And then, like I said, we stood there and we started talking. Me and my male friend started talking to the real estate agent. The alien never did put John and Elaine in my scenario because, like I say, they were already moved out under the scenario, and in real life they already are moved out, etc. And so anyway, but here's the other part. I probably wouldn't talk about this scenario if it wasn't for the other weird part. Okay, so then I proceeded to walk, this direction. So whatever, we're pretending like that's north. So I proceeded to walk south west, where where other houses are across across the yard. And there's some other houses, way across the yard or whatever. So I started walking to their neighbor's house, basically, their old neighbor's house. And for whatever reason, I can't remember why I started walking over there. I think a woman called me over there, and I was just walking over there to go talk to her. Okay, so over to my left, this is what I saw. I saw there was like at least 5 or 6 floating holograms. And they look similar. I mean, they were like different patterns, and they look similar to this right there. Similar to that little floating hologram. They were floating about over to my left when I was walking over to the ex-neighbors, John and Elaine ex-neighbors, to talk to her, for whatever reason. And like I looked over to my left, and there was 5 to 6 floating holograms with various images and patterns and stuff in the middle. And they all were round, actually. They all were round, but I can't remember specifically the patterns and stuff, but they were different colors. Some of them were kind of bright, different colors. And they were hovering at about 8 feet high. Well, maybe, I don't know, maybe 9 feet high. So that was kind of cool. Okay, so anyway, did I talk about everything except one more experience? Let's see. Okay, 2-step granny house, 2 glass hall, played. Okay, now here was another cool part. Not cool part. Here's another cool lucid dream that I just had a couple days ago. Actually, virtual reality lucid dream, out-of-body experience. And like I say, these experiences are different than like what Joel gives me, like a quick out-of-body virtual reality experience. That feels like no different than 3D. There's times where he's giving me scenarios where it feels like I'm in another dimension and stuff, but that's the difference. With these lucid dreams and stuff, I always feel like I'm in another dimension, another reality and shit. And so anyway, like it doesn't feel like 3D. The energy feels freaking awesome. Okay, so a few days ago, let's see, what date was that? December 30th. And I don't know, maybe the aliens wanted to give me something good because I had just watched this movie. This movie called Another Life. And, okay, well anyway, they put something in your eye, and then you go into a virtual reality experience like snowboarding or whatever. And so it's just kind of weird. Like I watched this movie and then boom, I had this awesome virtual reality scenario. But I'll tell you about it in a minute. See, they just put something in her eye, and now she's in an out-of-body experience, virtual reality experience, where she's about to snowboard. But anyway, so after watching this movie, and it may not have anything to do with anything, but because I did have basketball on the brain because I was thinking about becoming a member of the Y again so I can shoot hoops and stuff. So, but anyway, it was just kind of funny that I watched that movie, and then I have this awesome experience. Okay, no, they put me on basketball courts before, many times, but not like to this degree. I mean, like most of the time, they would put me in a basketball scenario. I'll be like sitting there on the bench, not like under a real game or anything, but just like me and a few other friends. I'll be sitting there on the bench, and then we'll be debating when are we going to go out there and shoot hoops or whatever, and then we'll go out there and shoot some hoops. Like I wasn't playing an authentic, real game or anything. Well, under the scenario, it was so wild because. Where are we at? Okay, so I played a complete 35-minute basketball game. So that means every quarter was about what is that? 11 minutes? 11 times 4 or 10 minutes, 9 minutes. So every quarter was about 9 minutes. Now I can't remember when I played at the boys club and in junior high school, I can't remember how long the quarters were. But under the scenario, okay, I was on a basketball court and I was playing a complete game. I mean, I played a complete game just back and forth for 35 minutes. And somehow I knew it was approximately 35 minutes. And under the scenario, like I was my same age that I am now. And except all the other people were like in their 20s. Even the coaches were like in their 20s. And so that was kind of weird. But yet, under the scenario, I was still like the best player. And what the deal was, we were playing an authentic game against another team. So the two female coaches could decide which players they're going to cut and not cut. You know, from the main league. Okay, so anyway, so I was sitting there shooting baskets and everything, going down the court, going down the other part of the court, blah, 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 blah. When I first dribbled to make a layup for the first time, I was kind of rusty and I had a hard time dribbling because, because I hadn't really played in a while. Like in real life, I hadn't really played in a while, or at least not that kind of basketball. And under the scenario, I hadn't really dribbled in a while, if you know what I'm saying. So anyway, but after that, I was able to dribble just fine and make layups. And I even made like the most points. And under this game, under the scenario, I made 21 points. And of course, in real life, there's been many times where I was always the high scorer. That was back in junior high school. I was always like the high scorer. So the aliens were putting all these true bits and pieces of information from my real life in the scenario. But in the scenario, like I said, I was my age that I am now. And most people my age, they would not be able to move around the court very well. I wouldn't be able to move around the court very well either, probably, because I have a left knee problem. And, I probably could if I really wanted to. But now I just go into the court and, kick the shit out of the ball, against the wall, and then shoot hoops. That's what I do. This is kind of funny too, and off topic, but when a few years ago I went to the Y, and there was a Nerf football sitting there on the floor, and I just kicked the shit out of it all the way to the end of the court. I wasn't even trying to remotely go anywhere near the basketball hoop. That motherfucker made it through the fucking hoop. I just kicked the shit out of it randomly. This Nerf football. And so naturally I watched where it went. It went all the way to I was at one end of the court. I kicked it all the way to the other end of the court. Boom, it went right through the fucking hoop. And there was one guy that actually saw it too. Because I looked up and he looked down like, what? There was one guy that actually saw me do that. And like I say, that was funny. See, that's probably like alien activity right there. Because like, how the fuck, that would be like 1 in a trillion chances. You know what I'm saying? The aliens probably somehow made it go through the hoop. Okay, but anyway, that's off topic. Okay, so under the scenario, like I say, I never had a scenario quite like this where I played a complete freaking game. And like I say, for some reason, I totally remember that I made 21 points throughout the whole game. And I was the highest scorer. And I dribbled, made layups, I was shooting, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and I remember even blocking people like I normally like to do, block them. And I would bat the basketball out of their hands, out into the, out of rebound. I used to do that a lot, but I used to get in trouble. because I used to just slap it, and I guess my action of slapping it out of their hands would get me in trouble. But that was back in junior high school. I used to just like, slap it really hard. But like I said, I don't know what's wrong with that, but I used to get in trouble for doing that. Okay, so anyway, and like I say, the two, coaches, I knew somehow that I wasn't gonna be cut, you know what I mean? And sure enough, I was never cut. I made it to the league or whatever. But the funny part was, I even remember the coach, and like I say, these coaches were like 20-year-old people. And the coach showed me like the piece of paper over to my left. Like after we played the 35-minute basketball game, they showed me the piece of paper, and it looked like my handwriting, but because my handwriting's kind of sloppy, but it was like the coach's handwriting, and she was writing down like my name, like, that I made the league. And then there was somebody else's person's name. There was two names. It's like my name and somebody else's person's name, and I can't remember who it was. And that was just saying that, that I'm, what do you call it? I made the cut or whatever, that I wasn't cut. You know what I'm saying? That I made it on to the league or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, because a lot of scenarios, the aliens, what they like doing is, like, you'll be like all gung-ho, like you're about to do something, and then they won't make it happen. But under the scenario, I played a full, complete, freaking ass basketball game. So that was like very freaking cool. Well, actually, though, it could be because, okay, well, this is kind of personal, but one time, not too long ago, like I say, with sex and stuff, a lot of times they'll be like half-ass in creating sexual scenarios. And I'll be like, like, Joel, why don't you do the whole complete thing and make the person go all the way? Well, sure enough, he gave me a freaking virtual reality lucid dream where I had complete intercourse. But I'm not going to say who the person was. But so, yeah, you got to talk to these beings, and they'll give you what you want. But if you don't talk to them and tell them what you want, they're going to just, give you half-ass shit. So that may be why the alien or whatever gave me this complete basketball game. But it was wild because, like I say, like, they put me on basketball courts many, 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 many times under my lucid dreams, but never like a complete freaking game like this. And like I say, under the scenario, I knew, that we had played like a 35-minute game, and I knew that I had made 21 points and that I was the highest scorer. And, at the end of the game, I can't remember exactly what the score was with the other team and stuff, but I knew somehow, as far as I remember, I think we did win, but to tell you the truth, I can't remember 100%. I just know that I made 21 points. But anyway, but like I say, the aliens, they, you don't create any of your dreams, you know what I'm saying? They create everything for you. Even, I think the only time you maybe try to create your own dreams is maybe the really, really shitty dreams. That's what I think. The dream that I just described 30 minutes ago, where you're just sitting there in black abyss or whatever, and you're just seeing all these shitty half-ass images, and it's not like you're even a part of it. You're not there, you know what I'm saying? Those shitty type of dreams is probably what your brain tries to create themselves. That's what I think anyway. But that's pretty much the only thing your brain tries to create. All these other awesome experiences that you have is by aliens. And if anybody tells you about their dream, of course they're going to call it a dream, but the simple fact that they totally remembered it all clearly, it wasn't a dream. It was like virtual reality, out-of-body experience, lucid dream. Well, anyway, thanks for listening. But anyway, yeah, this part was funny because I was staring at this right before I went to bed. Oh, because the reason why I was staring at it was because I cleaned it. Because it gets, I don't know, this thing gets dirty easily. So I was cleaning it. I was staring down, cleaning this right before I went to bed. And that's when I had the college, the glass hall with the plumes of light green mold experience. After I was staring at that mat. But yeah, anyway, the aliens freaking rock. I mean, like I say, one time I asked them to like why didn't you go back when I was like 5 years old and pick some stuff from my brain and give me a lucid dream? Sure enough, they did. And it was when I was 5 years old, and we were downtown on Halloween. We were up on the second floor of this 1800s building, and this guy, well, maybe it was a psyop, who knows, may not even been true. The guy got scared and jumped out the window, and there was ambulance and shit everywhere. Like I say, I was like 4 or 5 years old. The alien had took that bit of information and recreated it, because I asked him, because normally they like to take, recent shit, or pretty recent stuff from your brain, what you have seen or whatever, or experienced. And so one time I asked him, like, why don't you go back, to like age 5 or whatever? And sure enough, that's what he did. Probably Joel. I don't know if it was another alien or if it was Joel. But they recreated me being in that haunted house. And yeah, anyway, it was kind of cool. Okay, well, thanks for listening.